Hey, let's talk about games. Hello my friends and welcome back. You are listening to Hyder and today we're going to be going through another Gladius video. Now this is going to be a little bit of a feedback and discussion video, primarily revolving around the semi-turn-based feature of PvP for this game. Now obviously within PvE it's nice and simple. It's a turn-based game, you take it in turns to basically attack, you attack, the AI attacks back and forth. Really simple. But when you go into PvP, this system changes, and what this does is, I guess the aim is to reduce the total turn times. So what happens is you will take your turn and the enemy will take your turn simultaneously. So basically instead of, I don't know, taking 1 minute to take a turn and then waiting 1 minute for your enemy to take their turn, you just both have your go simultaneously. And to me, I really like this because it makes it a lot more fluid and it makes you always have some action. Every now and again you'll be waiting for someone to finish a turn, but you'll be at least watching to see what they're doing with sort of intense anticipation. And I really like this feature. I think it's a really good one. I think it's really smart. It makes the game instantly a lot more accessible, I think, to PvP, and a lot more accessible just for general players to jump into it and have a little bit more of a fun experience rather than sitting down waiting, sort of watching for paint to dry. And I like that. I really like it. I think the idea needs to be commended. It's one of the best selling points of the game, and it's one of the reasons I feel like the PvP skirmish aspect of this is probably the most powerful aspect of the game, for me at least. But there is a drawback to this. There's a couple of drawbacks really. So obviously when you're both taking your turn simultaneously, there will be certain situations where it's advantageous to not move your unit right at the beginning, because you can only move it once and then you can attack. So you may find you want to wait for an enemy to move towards you, and that's great, and then you save a couple of units till the end of the turn, they swoop in and steal the kill. Huzzah. Wonderful magical tactical experience, but that's not the only thing that happens. Unfortunately, when you start a turn, whoever clicks first will get to attack first, and whoever attacks first obviously will deal damage first, and the amount of damage you deal or units you kill will determine how much damage you take back. So let's say, for example, I have some orcs, my enemy has some Imperial Guard. If I and he are both starting a round at the same time, if I click on him before he clicks on me, I'll probably kill half of the guardsmen, which means only half of them will attack me back, so I only take 50% damage. That is a big advantage. It's most apparent when you have two war bosses attacking each other. At the beginning of the turn, it is an absolute click fest to see who can click first. And I tell you what, if you get a pop-up at that point because you've completed a quest or you've researched something, he will attack you first. It will probably make you lose the unit. And there are situations, not very frequent, but frequent enough, where I've had an entire force attack me first without me having to get an attack at all, and that's basically GG at that point, because my entire force has just taken a free round of fire after a round where they might have just even been fired upon. So this for me is a little bit of a current issue for the game. I don't know what the solution is, if it's a case of having a queue of orders at the end of a round where you can basically say, before you finish, I want you to do this, you to do this, you to do this, and I don't know, maybe even hold the shift button, so as soon as the round starts, it happens, and then if both players have locked it in using this, I don't know, let's say shift attack feature, then they attack simultaneously. I think, to me at least, that's the only way of doing it, other than creating some form of initiative value or something like that, or having some sort of rule set that's sort of behind the scenes where if you've moved you have less initiative, so the other person's more likely to go first, but that's going to get pretty clunky. I think it's a little bit of a tough situation. Maybe the developers are happy with it, but I do feel it is one of those moments, and I've spoken to a few players about this, it's one of those moments that can be infuriating for you as a player, because quite literally you can lose a game in the blink of an eye because someone got to a bunch of buttons before you did. And in a turn-based game, that feels really out of place. It feels like it doesn't quite belong here. You shouldn't be there sort of just doing that, waiting for a game, waiting for the round to start. It doesn't make a bit of sense. I'm really curious to see what the developers have to say on this, if they have any ideas for it, because I think the PvP system is great. This is just one of my few gripes. Obviously the game has a few quality of life features to be implemented still, like general chat and stuff like that, but generally speaking, this game is immensely fun and enjoyable. I think the game for me right now is probably resting at a 7.5 7.6, and if that one thing was changed, I will be honest with you, several times I've wanted to throw something out the window when it's happened. It would probably go up to an 8.2. It does make a big difference to me, but guys, I'd love to know what you think of this feature down below in the comments. Does it work for you? Has this ever wound you up a little bit, or would you like it to stay how it is? Guys, take care, have yourself a great week. I'll see you soon.